Hi there and welcome. And in this video, we will be attempting the 2022 Edexcel IGCSE ICT practical paper. So this is the 2022 paper that we are attempting. Okay, so over here I have the question paper. And if we are to scroll down, okay, this paper consists of a graphics designing question, a database question, a web authoring question, a spreadsheet question, and a word processing question. Okay. So you also need to have the following files with you before you attempt the paper. Okay, so please ensure that you have these data files with you. Okay, and then moving on over here, the scenario of the entire paper has been given. So the entire paper is related to this scenario that has been mentioned over here. Okay, so it's about Brogavan Saravanan is the manager of the perfect party. The company offers party planning services. These are the company's contact details. So this is the address, telephone, and email. Okay, so these details have been given to us. This is the scenario of the paper. Moving on to section A, task A1, it says over here, Brogan has created a logo for her company. She has inserted a logo in document task A1. So they have told us to open document task A1. We have to enter task A1, name, candidate number, and center number in the header. And then we have to resave the document as task A1. Okay. So let me do that. Let me come into my folder. And here we have task A1 over here. Let's open it up. And so this is the document that they have given us. Okay, we have opened it up. Let's click on enable editing. Okay, let's click on this so we will be able to edit the document. And in this document, it tells us in the header, we have to enter these details. So let me go into this document. So this top area is the header area. And if you double click here, the header opens. Okay. So over here, you're supposed to type task A1, your name, your candidate number, and your center number. Okay. So for now, I have just put it as 1234, 1234. Okay. So with that, my work in the header is complete. So I'm going to click on close header and footer over here. Okay, and the paper also told me to resave the document. So I'm going to click on resave. Okay, I'm just going to save the changes that I made. Okay. Moving on, the question says, Brogan is not happy with her logo. Identify two weaknesses of her logo. Add these to document task A1. So this is the logo that she has created and she's not happy with it. And we are supposed to identify two weaknesses of this logo. So there are many that you can identify over here. We are only supposed to list two over here. So for example, the first thing I could talk about is I could say the image appears pixelated. Okay. So I can say the logo appears pixelated or blurry, making the content unclear. Okay. So this is one weakness. It's pixelated, blurry. So the content appears unclear. You cannot exactly see what it's showing. The next you can talk about is you can say the text is also hardly visible. Okay. As the text color and background color are both dark in color. Okay. So another problem, another weakness is her text color, her background color, both are dark colors. Okay, so it's difficult to read what has been typed on the logo. Okay, so these are two weaknesses that I have identified with her logo. Okay, you can go on to mention that, for example, she has used a photograph. Photographs are not allowed in a logo. You cannot use a photograph. You have to use a clip art. Okay, then you can say the image doesn't appear proportional. It looks like it has been stretched. Okay, you can also talk about that, but just remember you're only supposed to list two. Okay. Right. Resave task A1. So let's go back and resave it, or you can press Ctrl S, shortcut key. And then moving on, it says task A1B. Brogan needs a new logo. She wants you to create a logo using a sketch she has provided. Okay. So open the document logo sketch. Okay. So you need to open up this document to see the sketch that she has provided. So when you open up logo sketch, you can see that this is the logo that she has sketched. Okay, she has sketched something like this. Okay, and you are required to, what are we required to do? Create a logo based on Brogan sketch. So based on this sketch, we are supposed to create a logo. Okay, it says over here the logo must be fit for purpose. It should be fit to be used as a logo. It should match the scenario, which is about the perfect party. and it must match the sketch. It should use different colors for each balloon. It should include a shadow on each balloon, and then the company name should also be present in an appropriate font, color size, and position. Okay, so guys, when it comes to creating this logo, there are different softwares that you can use. Okay, so ideally you would go with Photoshop. Okay, ideally you would go with Photoshop. That would be the perfect software because Photoshop is built for graphics designing. Okay, if not, you can use Paint. Paint is also another option. However, when you use Paint, you may have problems when it comes to including a shadow. Okay, in addition to Paint, you can also use Microsoft Word. You can also use PowerPoint. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to create it in Photoshop, and I'm also going to show you how to create it in PowerPoint. Okay, so when you are doing an actual practical exam, say for example, Photoshop is not working, Photoshop is not loading, you can always use a backup software, which is PowerPoint, to create your logo. Okay, so we will start off with Photoshop. Okay, so I'm going to open up Photoshop on my computer. Let me open up Photoshop. So it's a heavy program. It's going to take some time to load. So it's still loading, and now Photoshop has finally opened up on my computer, on my screen. Now I need a drawing space. I need a space to do the drawing. So I'm going to come to File, and I'm going to click on New. Okay, so then my computer asks me, what type of a drawing space do I want? I'm just going to go with the default Photoshop size. Okay, I'm just going to say default Photoshop size, and Photoshop already has a fixed size for it. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and click on OK. So I have my drawing space that has been created for me to insert my logo. Okay, the drawing space has been created for me. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I need to draw 3 balloons, and each of those balloons is going to have what you call a piece to hold the balloon, something like this. If you look carefully, we need something like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to shapes. If you follow my cursor, this is where we have shapes, and I'm going to take the ellipse tool to draw a balloon. Okay, so I'm going to draw a balloon like this. This is my first balloon. And my first balloon, when I draw it at the top, I have the option of fill color. So I'm going to keep it as maybe yellow color. Okay, and then stroke. Stroke is the border of the circle of the balloon. So I do not want any border, which is why I have selected this, no border. Okay, now before I go ahead and draw my next balloon, okay, ensure that you come back to the background layer. Okay, so background layer is this white background. Okay, because remember, now we have 2 layers. We have the background and we have the balloon that we just drew, the yellow color circle, the yellow color ellipse. Okay, the reason I'm telling you to come back to the background is because when you try to draw another shape while you are already on an existing shape, sometimes it gets merged, sometimes it gets joined together, sometimes one disappears and the other appears. You get all kinds of issues when you try to draw a shape while you're already on a shape layer. So I would recommend you come to the background layer first. Okay, come back to the background layer, then draw your second shape. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to draw my second balloon, which is going to be somewhere over here. Okay, something like this. Okay, and I'm going to change the fill color to, we'll say maybe light blue. Okay, now if you want to move this, balloon, you want them to be next to each other, for example, no problem. Make sure you're on the correct layer first, which is ellipse number 2. And then over here, you have the move tool. So with the mouse, you can move it, or with your arrow keys, you can move the balloon. Okay, something like this. Okay, right. And then let's get our third balloon. So remember, once again, when you draw your third balloon, come back to the background layer again. Okay, so we come over here and we draw our third balloon, something like this. And the fill color, maybe we can go with pink. Okay, right. So once again, I want to move this. So I come to the move tool, and then with the arrow keys, I join it like that. Okay, so now I need a holder for all 3 balloons. So if you come to the shape tools, you have a line tool. Remember, before you draw the line, always come back to the background. Okay, so I'm going to draw my first line, something like this. Then come back to the background, draw my second line, something like this. Okay, and then come back to the background tool and draw my third line, something like this. Okay, right. Now, according to the question paper, they told us that all 3 balloons should have a shadow. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to come to the layer that you want to apply the shadow to. So you're going to start with ellipse 1. We're going to right click on it and we're going to click on blending options. Now, when you click on blending options, you get so many options to work with, but you do not have time to go through each and every one of them. I want you to directly go down to drop shadow. When you come to drop shadow, you can see immediately the moment you enable it, you can see a shadow appears behind the balloon. Okay, if you can follow my cursor, you can see the shadow has appeared. Okay, now inside drop shadow itself, you have so many tools that you can work with. Not so many tools, so many options that you can work with. The angle of the shadow, the distance, the space, the size, I mean, the mode. There are so many things that you can work with. However, remember, you do not have time to play with all these. Okay, so just put the shadow and move on. Okay, remember, you're working with a 3-hour practical paper. Okay, so just enable the shadow and let's move on. Okay, so I have put the shadow for the first balloon. Let's now move on to the second balloon. We do the same thing for the second balloon as well. Blending options. And we come to drop shadow. We enable drop shadow. Okay, and we click on OK. And then we come to the third balloon. And we come to blending options. And we enable drop shadow. And we say OK. So now the shadow has also been enabled. The only thing that's remaining is, according to the question paper, the only thing that's remaining is we need to have the company name. Okay, so over here you have the text tool. Okay, over here we have the text tool. Let's draw it from here to here. Okay, from this end to this end. So make sure you have put a suitable size. Okay, 36 might be a little too big. Maybe make it 30. And I'm going to keep it at black color. The font color, I'm going to keep it at black. And I'm going to say the perfect party. Okay. Maybe select a font that is a little more party type. Okay. Maybe something like this, maybe. Okay. Make it slightly bigger, 36. Okay. Strong. 8 looks better. And I'm going to join it over here, the perfect party. Okay, now do remember, guys, before you go ahead and save your logo, ensure that you get rid of all the unnecessary white space. It's only your logo that should be visible. There shouldn't be any unnecessary white space over here. Okay, so you can take the crop tool over here. We have the crop tool. Let's pull this over here. This is all we need. This is all we need. Okay, this is all we need. This is all we need. Okay, so you can go ahead and click on crop. Okay, once you have done the cropping, you can see the text doesn't look balanced. So let me take the text layer again, which is over here. The perfect party, where was it? The perfect party is over here. Let me come to the text layer, take the text tool and come inside the text box, and let's adjust this again so that it's correctly in the middle. Now it's perfectly in the middle. Right. So now let's go ahead and save it. So I'm going to click on File, Save As. How am I supposed to save it? Under what name am I supposed to save it? I'm supposed to save it as logo. Okay. Now, since this, I have done this on Photoshop, and since this logo has multiple layers, it will be good if you can save it in 2 formats. One is JPEG format and one is PSD format. So JPEG format is the format that you will be using for viewing purposes. Is it clear? And you will also be using the JPEG version. For example, if you have to insert it into a report or into a Word document or into Excel, you will be using the JPEG version. You will be using the PSD version in case you decide to make any changes later on. Okay, so the PSD version will keep all the layers separately. So later on, you realize you made a mistake, you want to make some changes, you can always come back to the PSD version. Okay, so you can come over here and you can come to File and you can click on Save As. Okay, and over here you can name it as logo. So I'm initially saving it as a PSD file. Okay, initially saving it as a PSD file. Okay, so we click on Save and we say OK. And now I'm also going to save it as a JPEG file. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change the format to JPEG and click on Save. So I'm going to keep it at maximum quality, high quality, and say OK. So now if you look at my folder, guys, if you look at my folder, you should be, I think I have not saved it in the correct place. Let's try again. Save as. Let's go again to desktop. Over here, 2022 practical paper. So logo in Photoshop file, in Photoshop format. And we are also going to save it in JPEG format. JPEG. Okay. So as you can see, guys, in my folder now, if I make this into large icons, I have the Photoshop file in case I want to make any changes later on. And I also have the JPEG file with me, which I can use to insert into Word and PowerPoints and things like that. Okay. Now, I also told you guys that I'll also show you how you can create this logo using Microsoft PowerPoint. Okay. So let me quickly take a new PowerPoint file, and let's just get a PowerPoint file over here. So I'm going to do this in a rush. I'm going to do it quickly. Okay. So if you look over here, I'm just going to click to add first slide. Let me delete these. Delete. Now I'm going to come to insert and let's come into shapes. So let's get 3 shapes. This is the first one. And this is going to have a shape fill of yellow, shape outline, no outline. Now let's copy and paste, Control C, Control V. This is the next balloon. Okay, and this is going to have a shape fill of, say, for example, orange. Control C, Control V, and this is going to be the third balloon. Okay, and this is going to have a shape fill of, let's say, green, for example. Okay, so now we also need to join them. We also need them to be, Okay, so let's come to insert shapes. And let's see if we can have something like this. That may be, then we draw the next one. Insert shapes over here. You get the chance to draw. Okay, something like that. Yeah. You can simply use a straight line even to join them all, up to you, entirely up to you. Then we need the text. Okay, so let's take a text box, let's draw it, and let's say the perfect party. So let's center align it, Control E, Control B. Let's make it bigger, Control Shift full stop, make it bigger, and maybe put a different color for it, maybe make it red. Use a font which might be a bit cursive. It will look like a bit of a party type of font. Maybe something like this. Okay, so once you have got everything in place, PowerPoint has this feature where you can join all of them. So I'm pressing the Shift key right now. I'm pressing the Shift key and I'm selecting all the components. Okay, so select this, select this, select this. I've selected all the components using the Shift key. While pressing the Shift key, I was selecting each and every one of them. Now what I do is I come to the shape format tab and I say I want to group all. Okay, I want to group them. So I have made them one group. Okay, now it's just one group. Earlier they were individual components. Now they have become one group. Now what I do is I simply right click over here and I say save as picture. Okay, so this grouped object is now going to become a picture. And I click on save as picture. My computer asks me, well, where do you want to save it? So I'm going to save it on the desktop in my 2022. I'm just going to call it logo from PowerPoint. Okay, so you know the difference. Okay, and I have saved it. So if you come to my folder, can you see? We have the logo, and this logo is PNG. PNG means it doesn't have a background. Okay, which is why you can see this, what do you call it? This transparent layer is coming in checkered dots like, okay, in checkered boxes, check boxes like. It means there's no there's no background over here. Okay, so that's also all right. Okay, so I have shown you how to create the logo using Photoshop and also how to create the logo using PowerPoint. Okay, all right. The next question, the next thing that they have asked us to do is they have told us, answer this question on document task A1, give 2 features of bitmap images. Okay, so let's put the question number. The question number was task A1C. Let's put here task A1C. Okay, so 2 features of bitmap images. By now, you guys should be knowing this. So you know bitmap images. Bitmap images, when you enlarge them, when you zoom, what happens? The pixels on the image get stretched. So when you zoom in too much or when you enlarge it after a certain amount, what happens? the pixels, the image starts to appear blurry because the pixels are being stretched and stretched and stretched. So after a certain point, it becomes blurry, or we say it has become pixelated, or you can say the quality of the image has dropped. Okay, so we have this problem with bitmap images, and it's actually a feature of bitmap images. Okay, so you can say the first feature is, you can say bitmap images, when enlarged, tend to lose their quality as the pixels get stretched. Okay, so as the pixels keep getting stretched and stretched, after some time you start noticing the image getting pixelated, it gets blurry. Okay, so you say the quality of the image is reducing. Okay, so that's one feature. Another feature is, you ideally for photographs you would be using bitmap format, and the reason you use bitmap format is because bitmap can support much more colors. Okay, so when you take a photograph, you're going to get a clear photograph of what you just took, because bitmap format can support much more colors than vector format. Okay, so let's put that over here. You can say bitmap can support more colors, or can support a large variety of colors. So it is ideal for photographs. Okay. So these are two features that you can mention about bitmap images. Okay, so with that we have then, so we are supposed to resave task A1. Let's do that as well. Let's resave it. And then they have told to save task A1 as a PDF document. Okay, so the shortcut key for save as is F12. Okay, the F12 function 12 key. However, if you're using a laptop, F12 might be for a different function, so you may have to press FN F12. Okay, do check it out. Okay, or you can come and click on file and you can click on save as. That's also another option. Okay, and you click on browse, and so when it comes to saving it as, so you have got the name task A1 and you're supposed to save it as a PDF file. Okay, so make sure you save it as type is PDF and click on save. So now when you come into your folder, you can see it's still saving. So you have the PDF file of task A1. Okay, so with that we have then come to the end of task A1. Okay, so task A1 was to do with graphics designing, and we have finished that. In the next video we move on to task A2, and task A2 is to do with databases. Okay, see you in the next video.